Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where we discuss 5 key elements in a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9. No disclaimer needed for this one, I bought it myself. The Crew is a cooperative trick-taking game for 2 to 5 players, and between this and the Fox and the Forest duet, I am overjoyed at this new cooperative trick-taking sensation that I hope will continue. But do the basic mechanics of trick-taking become boring after 50 scenarios of it? Let's find out and get to the list. My number 5 is a mix, and that's focusing on the scenarios that is mentioned, as well as the overall story that they're framed with. Each scenario comes with a little narrative blurb that continues the story of astronauts exploring, and they each have small or sometimes large changes to the objectives for the play, generally increasing the difficulty as you go. On the positive side, I like the variety in some of the scenarios, especially the ones that really change up the way you play. And I also like, as a trick-taking veteran, that the first few scenarios do a nice job of slowly introducing some trick-taking practices to people who might be novices and not have much experience. But on the negative side, a lot of the scenarios do feel pretty repetitive, especially when they use the same elements and just barely increase the difficulty. And while I appreciate the effort that went into writing the story, and I think the writing is fine, it didn't add anything to my experience. We quickly started ignoring them and just going on to play more. But my number 4 is a full-on con, and that's focused on the swinginess of the gameplay. Now, swingy card distributions are nothing new in trick-taking games, but most games aren't as all or nothing in their play as The Crew. In hearts, you want to take as few hearts as possible, but it's not terrible if you take 1 or 2. In something like spades or bridge, you get to bid based on what you see in your hand. But in The Crew, sometimes the wild swings in luck of where cards are or which tasks you have to complete can make an easy mission almost impossible, or one of the latest missions, one of the toughest in the game, complete child's play. But getting to the pros, at number 3 we have something great in the game, the communication tokens. A hallmark of good trick-taking games, at least for me, is the limited communication options they provide. Many of them only let players communicate through their bidding, but The Crew has a fun system where once per hand, each player can put a single card from their hand out on the table and indicate whether it's the top or bottom or only card they have in that color or suit. And making the choice of which card is the most important to share and when you should share it is really fun and lets players communicate with each other without breaking kind of the key limitations to communication in the trick-taking genre. We have another pro at number 2, the thing that I think is the most unique about The Crew, and that's the task system. In most of the missions, the players will receive or choose a certain number of tasks, which just match up with cards in the regular player deck. And what it means is that player has to win the trick, play the highest card in the set of cards that includes their task. And this is genius. It is such a fun evolution on the trick-taking genre, something I've never seen before. But it works so well, is so quick to explain, and really leads to some wonderful gameplay mechanics and strategies to try to get those exact cards to fall at the exact right time. And that leads right into my number 1, a big pro, similar to my number 1 for the Fox and the Forest duet, and that's the fact that I just love trick-taking games, and I'm so happy that we have 2 really good ones that work well. And The Crew is even more exceptional in a way, because whereas the Fox and the Forest duet was only for 2 players, this one plays up to 4 or 5. And for me, trick-taking is at its best when you have 3 or 4 players to really get some nuance and some intricacies in how the cards are played. And The Crew allows that in a fun way. It lets you signal, it lets you figure out fun strategies, it lets you make amazing plays or terrible blunders, and in such a quick, fun playtime, I just love that this game is around for us to enjoy. So if you can't tell from those 3 pros in a row, The Crew is fabulous. A really, really great game. Now, it's not perfect. The scenarios aren't always great. It gets a little repetitive sometimes. It can be swingy. And honestly, I wish there were more milestones in the game, because just playing a few hands doesn't feel like it has much importance. I kind of wish there was something like in hearts or spades or bridge where you reach a certain point threshold and something happens. But these are all minor complaints. The game is, what, $15 or $20? And if you like trick-taking at all, if you have at least one other person to play with, because the 2-player variant works pretty well, it is an awesome game, and I fully recommend it. You gotta check it out. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.